7:14 on a beautiful Tuesday in September. I want to welcome to the infamous mic number 2, Judge Jason Duffy, who is, and I got it covered up here, Marion County District Court Judge. Welcome, sir. Welcome, Judge.
Thank you, Dale. Glad to be here.
Well, it's good to have you here. And did you enjoy the county fair?
Oh, yeah. Met a lot of people, got to know several people. My wife and my baby was there, so it was a good time. The weather was spectacular. It
was, and I want to compliment the Baxter County Fair Committee for doing a great job this year. Did you get to go see the lawn tractor races?
No,
That was cool.
Yeah, I wanted to see that, but I was at the booth at that time. So
yep, out there working, campaigning for, and let me pull this up. I just put it on Facebook. Here we go. You are currently the Marion County District Court Judge, and you will be running for, you're a candidate for District Court Judge of Marion and Baxter Counties of Arkansas.
That's right.
Now, this election is a little bit different in the fact judicial has always been elected during primaries, but the primaries moved up to March 1st. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are saying, where are we getting into the campaign already? Well, we changed a few things here and there.
That's right. They moved the presidential primary up, and the judicial election is on the same date, March 1st of next year.
Now, so you can ask for a Republican ballot, a Democrat ballot, or strictly a judicial ballot when you vote.
That's right. Whatever ballot you pull, the Marion and Baxter County District Court Judge election will be on that ballot.
Now, let's just talk about who you are and about,
Sure.
just what makes you tick, just your heart's desire.
Well,
what's inside Judge Duffy?
Okay. Just a little bit about me by way of background. I was born and raised in Yellville, graduated high school from Yellville. I went to college, at Hendrix College, graduated in 95, graduated from the University of Arkansas Law School in 99, have been a practicing attorney since that time, and have been the Marion County District Court Judge for almost 3 years now. And the District Court Judge presides over primarily criminal misdemeanor cases, things like domestic battery, shoplifting, theft, drug possession. District Court also presides over all traffic offenses in the county, game and fish violations, and civil and small claims cases. So I've been doing, I tried to do some calculating the other day when I was preparing for some of these events that we've been going to, handled or presided over almost 10,000 cases now since my time on the bench.
Wow.
So that's a little bit about the position and what it entails.
I want to throw my 2 cents worth in. Can I do that?
Sure.
We raised 4 boys. And of course, you go get a stop sign or a speeding ticket here and there. Here's what I'd like to see. Whenever they say, well, you need to pay this amount of money and court cost by this date. If they're 16, 17, 18 years old, a lot of times they don't have a job.
Mm-hmm.
Mom and dad winds up paying the ticket. Shame on you, don't do that again, or I'm going to take your keys away. Well, when mom's working, dad's working, the kids are trying to get to school, blah, 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 blah. It's... Yeah. What if we suspended the license for 14 days?
Yeah.
No monetary fine, but I want your license on this desk for 14 days. Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday on either end.
That's a good idea. The district court judge has authority to suspend the driving privileges of licensed drivers in this state.
Because what 16-year-old is going to look cool getting off the bus or out of mom's minivan?
That's true. That is a good idea. I've suspended licenses for longer than that, but on a short-term thing like that, I've never really considered that. But one thing I do sometimes is when I impose a fine for a speeding ticket, especially on a young person, I routinely do this for every person that comes in and is ultimately adjudged on a traffic offense. I order them to pay, say I order them to pay a $200 fine. They have to pay it at the rate of $50 a month, and that can be done by the payment of cash or by doing community service work.
Oh, yeah.
So they can go, if they don't have the cash, they don't have a job, or they're a student, they can do community service work, and they get credit towards their fines at the rate of $7.50 an hour for each hour of community service work they perform. Good. And I like that program. We've had a lot of success with that.
Well, now, you spoke with the Republican Women's Club earlier in September, and
right.
And you were basing this platform on distracted driving. Am I correct?
That's true. Since we've had our campaign up and running the past 2 months now, one of the things that we've been focusing on is texting and driving, distracted driving. And the reason why is because it's just exploded onto the the culture, frankly, over the last several years with the rise of the smartphone technology. Everybody's using their phone, and it's amazing. You can just drive down the road in the middle of the day, and you can tell who's texting and driving. They're swerving all over the road. But yeah, it's an important thing. It's our roadways are more dangerous now because of it. So we're trying to raise awareness in that regard.
You as the judge, what's your plan of action?
Well, I'm currently trying to devise a strategy for how to handle this kind of uprising, I suppose, in the distracted driving.
Because it's not just kids; it's adults too.
Oh yeah, it's everybody. It's everybody. I've considered, and I'm still considering, making people who are charged with texting and driving have to appear in court instead of simply just paying their fine and going on. That way I can get them into court, find out what's going on, and see if this is, maybe an isolated incident or something that they need to be made aware of, that this is serious business and it won't be tolerated anymore. Perhaps suspend their driving privileges if it continues to be a problem.
Well, I'm a member of FAD, Families Against Distracted Driving, and when Sheila and Michelle were here one day, I thought, I don't text and drive, but I thought, well, how hard is it? So I was in a residential neighborhood going west to east at about 5 to 8 miles per hour, and I thought, well, I'll type, yes, it is, or something like that. In that slow and those minimal amount of letters, by the time I glanced up after about 3.5 to 5 seconds, I almost took out a mailbox.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you take your eyes off the road for just a couple of seconds and you've traveled the length of a football field. So it's a serious issue. And there's been some studies performed by the National Highway Safety Transportation Administration that says that texting and driving is 6 times more dangerous than drinking and driving.
Oh, my word.
So it's a problem.
No, what about driving while intoxicated or under the influence, the DUI, DWI, whatever they're calling it nowadays?
Yeah, it's.
Do you see still a lot of that?
Oh yeah, we see
Really?
An absolute ton of it. Research has indicated that DWIs have gone down over the course of time. There's still a high number of them, way too many, of course, but that driving under the influence of drugs has dramatically risen over the course of the last several years, and I'm not sure why, other than perhaps people are turning to drugs instead of alcohol because there's been a good campaign ran about the evils of drinking and driving, and so that's had a positive impact. So the DWIs, alcohol, appear to be going down, and the number of DWI drugs going up, skyrocketing.
What about recreational marijuana, like in Colorado? I hear that they're having some issues with driving out there because people are the reaction time is being affected.
Yeah, I was actually watching a commercial the other day, a Colorado commercial. I'm not sure what it was, who was sponsoring this commercial, but it was talking about making sure you don't get high and drive out there. Because they've legalized recreational marijuana out there, but they still understand that it impacts your driving.
Being on the bench in a judicial position, you see all walks of life, and I was discussing this before. Years ago, I worked at an automotive parts supply, and a man walked in, and he wanted a gallon of battery acid and a case of carburetor cleaner. Well, nowadays, in the last 35 to 40 years, car batteries arrive to the parts house wet. The sulfuric acid is already in the battery. Back in the 60s, early 70s, you used to have to activate a battery and put it on the charger for 30, 40 minutes. Well, that meant that you had to wait for your battery. Unlike going to a box store or back in my day, Sears, when they were selling the Die-Hard battery, hey, I've got a 75 Chevy car, 350, and I need a battery. You put one in there and wrote a ticket and went on. So anyway, the need for sulfuric acid is not there. You can't re-add acid to a battery. And then carburetor cleaner. Have you ever had carburetor cleaner get in your eye? That is vicious. Well, come to find out, that was a meth lab supply. And I thought, who on earth wants that stuff in your bloodstream when it burns to stinking bad just to get it on? I mean, put a drop of battery acid on a pair of jeans. And what's going to happen? Though that spot's going to deteriorate.
Yeah.
It's going to deteriorate. And carburetor cleaner, I got it in my eye, my left eye one time, and my eye was swollen for 3 days. It hurt so bad.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, drug addiction is obviously a huge problem in the criminal justice system, and we see it every day. I see it every day. As far as what to do about that, I guess there are any number of things which would include incarceration and treatment programs of some kind. But you know, when you see the people that come in regularly over and over again, you wonder sometimes what kind of an impact they're having.
You know, I can't, and I wonder, people says, oh, and I've read stories about people that use marijuana, and back in my day, the LSD, the heroin, what they used to call speed and all that stuff. I don't understand why you want that in your bloodstream.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Now, there's a ministry in Batesville around Batesville called John 3:16 Ministries, does a fantastic job. And I don't know if they're on a volunteer basis, but can a judge suggest they look at that?
Yeah, I can. What I can do.
I mean, being it's faith based, and I when you get down to separation of church and state, which is even Wikipedia calls that a metaphorical statement. It's not law.
Yeah. If someone comes into court and is ultimately a judge guilty or pleads to maybe a drug crime, possession of drugs, part of the sentence typically could include payment of fines, incarceration, and a lot of times what I do is order them to attend treatment in lieu of a jail sentence. So if I sentence them to 90 days in jail, if they spend 90 days in inpatient treatment, that counts as credit towards their jail time. And that's something I routinely do.
Yeah. Wow. Well, we got about 3 minutes before the first break. Now, we discussed this before we went on the air live, but I want the people to know that as a sitting judge, there's some aspects that he cannot legally answer. So I've informed Judge Duffy, if I ask a question that he cannot legally answer, that just say, I'm sorry, but legally I can't answer that. So I want to talk about abortion and what your thoughts are. I am pro-life. I'm part of the Baxter County Right to Life. Jerry Cox of Family Council's been here, and I'm not the richest guy in town, but I give them $15 a month. And I believe in that the family is a man, a woman. That's what marriage is. Abortion is murder. And I don't know legally if you can talk about this, but if you can, your thoughts on it.
Okay, let me just step back to what you'd said previously. A judge and even a candidate for a judicial position, a sitting judge cannot speak about a pending case in his court, a specific case, nor can a judge speak about things that might come into his court. Now, as I said before, we primarily preside over, district court judges preside over criminal and traffic stuff. An issue like an abortion, my stance on it, it's a political issue, but it's not something that comes into my court. And I mean, I feel comfortable telling you that myself and my family, we're pro-life, and that's our position.
Good. And let's see, what else do we have time for? Well, just a minute and 25. Just what have I not covered that you need the folks to know about Judge Jason Duffy? Let me ask you this. This is something to think about. I ask everybody that comes in here, you got a genie in a bottle, you get 3 wishes. What would wish number 1 be? That's what the governor did.
Oh, boy. Well,
and we only got a minute to answer this, so this is kind of like one of the debates on CNN.
Golly, that's a loaded question. I'm not sure. A couple of Hog football wins would be nice.
Oh, wow, yeah. Can you believe they got beat by Tech and by Toledo?
No.
And Missouri is 3-0.
I know. Yeah, the SEC's down a little bit, perhaps. At least the SEC West is. We'll see. As far as other wishes, I'm going to have to get back to you on that. I'm not sure.
You got 2 more coming.
Okay,
So
I'll be thinking about. I'll be thinking about it over the course of the program and go from there. Wish I had a little more time. Sometimes I've been awfully busy. Working, sitting as the judge. I've got a law practice over in Yellville, and we're in full campaign mode. So time has been.
You got 3 jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
We are visiting with Judge Jason Duffy, who is a candidate for District Court of Baxter and Marion County. Now, this is being combined now. Is that correct?
That's right. The March 1st election is to combine Marion and Baxter County into one judicial court with one district court judge. to take effect on January 1st of 2017. Yeah.
Brings us up to news time. We'll be right back. More with Judge Jason Duffy right after this. .35 on a beautiful September 22nd. We're visiting with Judge Jason Duffy, and welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, let's see. Let's see if we can pick out some more hard questions here. Have you ever been a leader of any political party in a county or a state?
No, I have not.
Really?
Yeah. When you're a small town lawyer, you get involved in politics, I suppose. I've not served in any capacity, frankly, in either party. So the answer to that is just straight up no.
Mm. So basically, being an attorney in a small town, you have your own convictions,
mm-hmm.
but more than likely keep them to yourself to a certain aspect.
Yeah. To be quite honest with you, coming on here today and talking about some of these political issues is. I tend to keep things pretty close to the vest, but I am glad to be here, and I'm happy to share with you guys and share with you and tell you what I can about my own personal beliefs, mm-hmm. Keeping in mind that caveat about judges sometimes can't talk about certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. And we respect that here. Now, and this next question may fall under that category. Let me pull this up. I'm going to pull up the Second Amendment to the Constitution, where it says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to me, in my opinion, and I don't need 400 phone calls on this, in my opinion, we don't need Act 746 because the Constitution says I have the right to keep and bear arms.
Mm-hmm.
In my interpretation, to keep a gun, a firearm, would mean I can put it in my desk drawer, my nightstand, I can lay it on my table. Mm-hmm. I can put it in the refrigerator if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
That's to keep an arm. But if I want to bear that arm, that means I can carry it in my hand. I can put it in a holster on my belt.
Yeah. I
can put it on top of my head and wear a hat if I wanted to.
Yeah.
How does judicial see that?
Well, I don't know how judicial sees it, but I agree that I'm a supporter of the Second Amendment as well. And, we've had a couple of Attorney General opinions lately on the right to carry these firearms around. As a judge, you respect the laws of the land, regardless of whether you agree or disagree with them. That's not my choice. I don't create laws. I simply take the laws that are on the books, do the best I can with them, and when these people come into court with their cases, I apply the facts of each particular case to the law and make the fairest, best decision that I can based upon the information that I have.
How it says here, quotes, a well-regulated militia, comma, being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, comma, shall not be infringed, period, end quote.
Mm-hmm. You're right. And I don't have any disagreement with that.
Well, I choose not to be open carry because I feel that perhaps I could be a target.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm with you. If I'm going to carry a gun, I would probably, because I travel a lot between here and Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, I think I would rather have like a concealed carry permit and
mm-hmm.
at least know that I've been checked out, fingerprinted,
mm-hmm.
background check, whatever is necessary for that weapon. But go ahead. Yeah.
No, I agree. I don't have any problem with a good, thorough background examination to make sure that the people who are carrying are legally entitled to do so. That's fine in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, let's see. What else have we not covered? This may be another one of those things. And we get very, very frustrated with our Supreme Court. 5 lawyers have ruled gay marriage law of the land.
Mm-hmm.
And I have looked at Google. Well, it's kind of like the World Book Encyclopedia now. What law did they just write? Because here's what I'm finding. And I've read the Constitution. I don't find any law in there other than biblical law that says, therefore shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Did the Supreme Court just rewrite natural law?
Well,
Because was there a law on the books when this country was formed back in the 1770s and early 1800s that says a man marries a woman? No, it's always been that way from biblical times.
mm-hmm.
Adam was created. Eve was, as God took a rib from Adam. I mean, that's the first surgery was right there. You know, he put him in a deep sleep, removed a rib, therefore woman was formed.
Yeah. You know, I actually haven't had a chance to read the Supreme Court ruling in this case, but this is, I think, one of those times as a judge, I probably can't comment because I have authority to marry people.
Oh, that's right.
So, you know, I think I'm going to kind of step back
Sure,
from this one.
sure.
Go ahead and you can say your piece, of course, but yeah.
But, you know, as a conservative, I'm disappointed in the Supreme Court ruling because I think what we've done is just rewritten natural law
Yeah.
because I don't know that there's any law on the book. And something else that I bring out is where do we get our laws for murder? And I'm sure that you've had to deal with somebody that's robbed somebody. If we go back to the Ten Commandments, all the way back in Exodus,
Yeah.
that's where those laws are based.
You're right. I think the basis for a lot of the laws that we have in our society today are based upon biblical laws and what a lot of people know as natural law. It's right and wrong. You know, it's just wrong to unjustifiably, without justification and without excuse, just kill somebody because you're mad.
Yeah.
So I understand where you're coming from with all that, and I agree with that.
Yeah. As an attorney and as a judge, and there again, we're crossing this fine line of what we can and cannot discuss on the air. What has really just shocked your socks off? Anything that you can share that just, I mean, just like, oh my goodness, really?
You know, one thing, it seems like we live in a society today that is much more willing to take their disputes with their neighbors and the other folks in their community straight to court. It doesn't seem like it was quite that way maybe when I was a little younger, and
Yeah.
of course I'm 42 now, so I don't think we had this much litigation. Seems like there's just been an explosion of litigation over
And
the
what
course of
comes
the
to
last
mind,
15, 20
yeah,
years.
Yeah. Somebody spilled a cup of coffee on themselves at McDonald's one time and sued and won millions of dollars. Come on, people. You ordered coffee, not ice cream.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And I don't know exactly why that this is happening, but it's an issue. The courts are absolutely slammed.
Well, let me tell you how it is. I attend First Baptist Church. Years ago, we put up these big screens so the words to the songs that were being sung could be read by all instead of using the hymn book. But you notice there's a CCLI number. It's something to do with the licensing. There are attorneys in this country specifically trained to sue churches for copyright infringement.
Yeah.
Now, how crazy is that? We've been singing some of these songs for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
But yet we have to show who owns the copyright. And it's so funny to be singing these hymns and copyright, blah, 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 Capitol Records or Columbia, Sony, and BMG Music Group, which is the old RCA Victor. I thought, what? You know.
Yeah, we have the same projector type system at our church, and you're right about that. Yeah, that's the sort of thing that it's got the court system backed up. I mean, it takes forever to get your day in court, in circuit court, and to a certain extent in district court too, where I preside. It's just we're slammed with plenty of work to do.
You know, I can't imagine, because when you sing a hymn in a church or a praise and worship song, the writer of those songs intended it to be done that way. Now, if the song is played on the radio or if the CD or MP3 file, whatever it is sold, they get a certain percentage through ASCAP or BMI or whatever their publishing company is. But I would think it'd be an honor to have people sing a song that I had written in a congregational worship. So why would I want somebody to sue that church for singing the song that I wrote when it was intended for that very purpose?
Yeah. I see your point. I know almost nothing about copyright infringement and things of that nature. It's just, that's kind of a niche that not a lot of law, unless you're a specialist in that particular area of the law, you don't know anything about. But I see the point that you're making.
Well, nowadays when you get a cup of coffee at McDonald's, it says caution, contents may be hot.
Yeah.
What, you ordered coffee? And it's like I read in the paper years ago, this is about 25 years ago, woman was taking care of about 4 or 5 children in her home back in the days of VHS tapes. And she put a little Walt Disney movie on and got sued for public performance.
Good grief.
Because the disclaimer says blah, 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 up to $250,000, FBI, all this warrant. Come on, people. She had 4 little kids sitting in the living room on beanbags watching Mickey Mouse, and somebody wanted to sue her for public performance.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing. I think we just need to get back to some of our values that we had maybe years ago, and start talking to each other, working out our differences amongst ourselves before just firing off a lawsuit.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break. We're visiting with Judge Jason Duffy. More right after this. 7:49. We're continuing our discussion with Judge Jason Duffy, and let's talk about some fun stuff. What's the fun part of being a judge or an attorney in Marion County?
Well, I don't know about fun. It is fun to a certain extent, but I think I like being able to help people. Young person comes into court, maybe got in trouble for the first time, give them an opportunity to, make that mistake, learn from that mistake, and move on and not come back into court again. You just, if you don't see them in court again, that's a good thing.
Right.
And you think maybe that you might have had something to do with that. I take some satisfaction out of that particular aspect of the job.
When one time the governor called in, we were talking about the prison overcrowding. What causes, in your opinion, repeat offenders? That is an issue.
Yeah. Drug addiction and addiction and mental illness, in my opinion, it would appear in my court, and I have to assume it's the same in every court, it is a huge problem. I mean, I can recall sitting in court the other day, and they brought in all the prisoners that had been arrested over the weekend for their initial appearance. They get to come before the judge, and I inform them of the charges and read them their rights and give them a bond. There's about 10 guys sitting there, and I just remember thinking to myself, man, they looked like they had substance abuse problems. Just, I didn't ask them, but it's a huge problem, and if we could figure out a way to address some of these things. And the other thing is socioeconomic stuff. There's no rich people always in district court. It's poor folks, and it's folks that have addictions and mental issues. If you could figure out a way to address some of these things, we could have a lot of success.
How do you discern, though? I mean, if you've never seen a person before your bench before, we don't know what's going on in the mind, And I go back to the young man that did the shooting at the church in Charleston, South Carolina. What? Come on, why? And even to the point where he says, well, those people were so nice to me, I almost didn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I just don't understand that type of thinking. Do you think that movies and TV have an influence? Well, let me back up. I was watching Channel 3 at noon, and Steve Grant was on, and he was giving the rundown of all the upcoming movies for the weekend. I think it was either Labor Day weekend or weekend after, and every one of those were some type of violent picture. Rated R, rated R, rated R, That's not entertainment. That'll make me keyed up worse than what I am now. I like, people think I'm crazy. I still laugh at Barney Fife.
Yeah.
On Andy Griffith.
Well, it's the old question of, is it art imitating life or life imitating art?
Ooh, good point.
Who knows? And I sure don't know. But it's a good point you raise. It does seem like our society is getting a little more violent as the years go by.
When I was in elementary school, just outside of St. Louis, Mom was a stay-at-home mom. Okay, So if there was something on TV, no, you boys don't need to be watching that. Change the channel, turn it off. Okay, we did that. But now with mom and dad both working, and perhaps you got an 11, 12-year-old person in the house that can come in and be reasonably responsible for 90 minutes so one of them gets home.
Anything goes.
Anything goes.
Yeah.
Well, and kids, they're going to figure out how to get around the parental controls on the remote.
Yeah.
Sometimes kids can do better on that stuff than the adults.
Well, when I was growing up, we just had 2 channels, and you had
three
to,
in St. Louis.
You had to turn the antenna to get one of them. So
You're telling your age.
there was nothing dirty on.
Yeah. Well, the dirty stuff for us is when the Three Stooges would slip and fall in the mud, and then the other two would trip over the guy that just fell.
Yeah.
You remember the Three Stooges?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Final 2 minutes. The final thoughts.
Well, gosh, I'm just glad to be here today and just talk to you a little bit about who I am and what's going on in the court system. Glad to come back anytime you would have me.
Good to have you.
And of course, just wanted to get to know people and have people get to know me a little bit.
And how can people do that? What would
any number of ways. We've got a Facebook page. I think it's called Judge Jason Duffy. If you put that into your Facebook search, we've got a website, judgejasonduffy.com. We've got a Twitter handle. You can call us on the phone. I mean, if there are folks out there that would like to get to know me better, they can send me an email, maybe even come in and visit. We're going to be hitting all the local events over the course of the next few months just to try to get to know the voters and the people of Baxter and Marion counties.
And here's a good opportunity. The Alleywide American Legion Post 52 is having an all-you-can-eat pancake breakfast Saturday, September 26th at Market Street, 717 Market Street from 7:30 to 10 a.m.
Okay.
It's this Saturday.
Okay.
You get sausage, biscuits, gravy, donation of $6 for adults, $3 for children under 10.
Well, I may do that. I know we're going to Bridge Bash this Saturday,
Yeah,
too,
that's
so
coming
maybe we
up.
could
There
go
you
get some
go.
pancakes before we go to Bridge Bash.
Yeah, go visit the American Legion Post and then head out to Bridge Bash.
Yeah.
And let's see what else is going on out there. This gives me a chance to check my community calendars. A free seminar. Here we go. I got to do this quick. A free seminar, Volunteer Recruiting, Retaining Recognition, will be held Thursday, September 24th at 10 a.m. to 11:30 at the Calico Rock Community Room at 900 Pirate Street, Calico Rock, Arkansas. And they will have a training rep from the Division of Community Service, Nonprofit Support, Department of Health and Human Services to present this program. Need information? Call 870-297-4129 or Frederica Johns at 870-421-7244. Thank you to Judge Jason Duffy for being here today. It's been
Thank you,
quite a
Dale.
pleasure.
Thank
Enjoyed
you.
having you on the show, and it was good to see you at the fair. And
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
you're always welcome. There's the theme song right there. That wraps it up. We're going to be back tomorrow with more on Down on the Corner. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks to Judge Jason Duffy for being here today. Have a great day, everybody.